got to get ready to bring in my guest. My man Darius Hicks. Darius and I have been friends for a good minute. We both did our tour of duty in the good Bentonville, Arkansas, and so he was a Walmart superstar, and so then he moved to the A either before or after. I have to check when he comes back on when he got here, but he's got a great podcast called Wild Black. We ran into each other. He came through when I did the interview with Otavio Samuels back a couple of months back. He was in the room. And he had opportunity to interview Stacy Abrams. And so let me bring in my man, Darius Hicks. Good evening, my brother. Happy Friday to you,
Happy
Playboy.
Friday.
Let me make sure, though, let me get your mic up. There you go.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you. We
Yes.
got you. We got you.
Look, happy Friday. I appreciate the invite. It's beautiful to be here. How are we? Hey, y'all energy is already up there. I got the flu shot today, so I'm
Okay.
down here a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, we got
Okay.
you. We're
We
good. We
got
got
you.
you.
We'll got you. We'll pull you up. We'll pull you up. So meet the super producer, Kia Shakur. The energy from
Welcome to Drink Champs. Welcome to
right.
Drink Champs.
I'm ready. Does this count? I'm ready.
Yeah, it
I'm
counts.
ready.
It counts. It counts. So anyway, man, man, thank you for coming on the show, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been talking about this for a while, and we're looking forward to doing more stuff together. And I'm so
Yeah.
proud of the work you're doing, man, with Wild Black. Tell us about that podcast and the genesis. You've been doing that for how long now?
Oh man, this is year 4 for Wild Black.
Mm-hmm.
It started really out of what I felt was an obligation. I won't go through the whole story because I'll be here the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
But in short, I heard you talking about our Walmart time, and while I was there is when Michael Brown was murdered in
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson, and I
Yeah.
can remember being on the marketing floor watching the televisions play, and this was back when Ferguson was on the television 24/7.
Yep.
And I was watching this and being very honest, I was struggling. I had been struggling with what was happening because I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. I'm a big black man.
Yep.
I've got a son who's a big black man, and I've got a daughter, and of course a wife. And I saw each of us in Mike Brown as he lay dead in the street.
Yeah.
And I was standing at work one day watching Fox News, and it was showing the broadcast from Ferguson. And the news was showing what it wanted to show, right?
Right.
Spinning the narrative the way they wanted to.
Right.
And there was a conversation that was happening behind me that really, I mean, really affected me. There were 3 white women behind me. 2 of them I knew well. One of them I golfed with. The other had been to my house for dinner. I'd been to her house. And the third was relatively new to the organization. But, I knew her like,
Mm-hmm.
coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
And their conversation, it wasn't overly hurtful. It wasn't necessarily racist, but it
Mm-hmm.
did something to me.
Yeah.
It was
They were
indifferent, wasn't it? It was indifferent.
it was worse than indifferent to me, right? Because
Mm.
what happened was one of them looked up and said, "What's happening?" And the other said, "I don't know. It looks like someone won a championship." And I'll give them a little grace on that because I remember what Chicago used to look like in the '90s when the Bulls won. They would tear the city up, right? You see cars on fire. So
Got
I
it.
gave them
Yeah.
a little bit of grace. And the third
Yeah.
one said, "Well, why does it have to be so violent?" But what I took away from that interaction was they were so privileged to not have to know, right? This thing was happening and it was creating like mental exhaustion for me. I had been in real tears. I had real moments of
Right.
fear and concern and desperation and like, how do we solve this? And this thing was happening over and over again and it would continue. And I sat in that moment and I walked away with this one understanding. I live in their world, but they don't necessarily live in mine because I knew what was going on The Bachelor. I knew what was happening in their
Yep.
world, and I didn't watch any of that stuff. But
Absolutely.
here's this thing that was happening 4 hours away from us in my world, and they're supposed to be people who care about me.
Right.
Yeah, you're clueless. And in
Yeah.
that moment, I started using social media to the best of the ability of the algorithm's limits to inject humanity from my world into theirs, right? And I wanted them to see it, consume it, and share it. And I did that for a while until I was sitting at my grandmother's garage in Jackson, Mississippi, and I was having a conversation with my cousin, and we were talking about retirement. And I was 37 at the time, and I was thinking I'm going to be 40 soon. I need to change the way I do my retirement. And this is
Mm-hmm.
my big cuz who always had the answers. He's like 6 or 7 years older than me, and he
Mm-hmm.
just knew stuff, right? He just knew things, and I was waiting for him to get me with this advice that was going to change my perspective. It was going to be the piece of information that I needed to redo everything. And I talked to him, and at the end of it, he looked at me with a blank face, and he didn't say anything. And I said, "Well, cuz what you got for me?" He said, "I got one question." I'm thinking this is going to be the question that opens everything. This will be the enlightening moment that I'm looking for. And what he said to me was, "What is a 401k?" And my heart broke.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the time I had spent trying to inject humanity from our world across the aisle into their world felt wasted, because what I needed to be doing was using my resources and my network and my network's network and my education and my access to fill the holes and build the bridges for our people to go from where we are to where we need to be. And that's where the
Yeah.
idea from Wild Black came from. That's why every episode is positive. We don't argue, we don't fight, we don't fuss. Everything is about building. I am hyper sensitive as to who I bring on, because
Mm-hmm.
they have to come on to build and not promote. Now, if we
So
can
you're
wrap
not
a
a
promotion
Lakeith
in there,
network. You're not a
say it again.
Lakeith Let's Talk network.
No, 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 no,
Because
no.
there is somebody, just to bring up what I'm talking about, there is somebody who has a large platform who could be doing a lot to teach a lot of people a lot of stuff. And every time I tune in, it is arguing. It is black
No.
women are this, black men don't do that. I'm like, are y'all serious? Like, this is
Yeah.
not what
It's
it should
interesting
be.
that's the interesting part of this conversation, because I have a very good friend of mine who enjoys enjoys our content, but he always he kind of says to me, he's, "Oh, brother Lloyd, man, we got to get your views up, blah 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 blah," and him understanding that there's things that I'm not going to do to get views.
Yeah.
There's things that I'm
Never.
not going to do to. That's not my calling.
Yeah.
My calling is to find an audience, just as you just said, Darius, that wants to be a bit entertained, but then have brothers like you or sisters like they come on, and we're really going to bring you some knowledge, whether it be or bring you some information or perspective that you're not going to get from Drink Champs. And no knock on
Absolutely.
what they're doing. That's what they're doing. That's that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: it's easy to run out of here and run out in the middle of the highway and crash your car into 5 people and get attention.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
harder to sit on the side and look at that car accident and look at the humanity and explain what happened during that time.
Yeah.
And that's the part we don't really want. We talked about this young lady earlier who got killed in Cabo. The lack
Yeah.
of humanity with that situation is just like, where are we going? Kia, go ahead. You want to jump in?
Well, let me ask that the fact that you brought that up is really, really key, because what's happening is with the Shaquila Robinson situation, Shanquila Robinson, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right, is that it ended up being black content creators who needed attention to that. A lot of, because nobody knew what happened. Like the people told her mom that situation, and then a lot of black content creators started getting videos and getting more
Mm-hmm.
information and making it into a bigger thing. When now the FBI is involved. I mean, why aren't more content creators focusing on that kind of information? Because that is bringing in a lot of views. A lot of people want to know more about the information. A lot of black people are into that true crime stuff when it involves our community, because there's so many things that haven't been solved. So why aren't more people doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't dare speak for all content creators, but what I will say is my perspective is that over the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a training exercise that we've been participating in, whether we knew or didn't know, right? And you see
Mhm.
that so much of the
Mm-hmm.
content that we digest on TV is about
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
shown us that conflict drives numbers. And then, Miguel, to your point,
Absolutely.
it's about the viewership, right? But the,
Mm-hmm.
the, the reality behind that is view doesn't equal impact. And coming from a marketing perspective, I want a qualified viewer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not
Yeah.
to knock. Like to your point, Drink Champs does a thing. They do that thing well. And for people who
Mm-hmm.
want to consume that thing, which include me, just to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's there.
Of course. I'm a Drink
Right,
Champs, Joe
right.
Budden podcast.
Breakfast
Yeah.
Club. Breakfast Club does a thing. I
Mm-hmm.
love to consume it, but I do
Mm-hmm.
a very, very different thing. Miguel, you do a very, very different thing.
Right.
We are looking for a different viewer, right,
Right.
in that moment, who may ultimately be the same viewer at some point in the day, but we have a role, right? I feel like I have an accountability to plug into our community with the things that I've been blessed to do well. And that's my lane.
So you said something interesting. You said plugging into a person at a different point throughout the day. So with your content, where do you feel like you fall throughout the day? Like if
Yeah.
somebody's, driving home or they're cooking. Because I know for me, when I indulge in the most garbage possible, it's between the kids going to bed and about 9 o'clock. That's when I'm like, give me all the garbage possible. But during the daytime, I'm podcast information. So where do you think your podcast falls during the day?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a lot of insight on that, right? One, I mean, much like any content, we wax and wane. We touch a bunch of different things, and we can fall at any point in the day. But I'd
Mm-hmm.
say for the most part, the type of content that I create is not background noise. It is the type of content that you turn on, you engage, and you listen to because you are actively learning and
Mm-hmm.
actively being engaged, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely not the podcast that you listen to while you work, because either you won't be listening and you'll miss, or you won't get your work done. And
Mm-hmm.
the funny side to that is we talk about a lot of issues at times that can be considered political and controversial in the outward world, but in our world it's just life, right? So I've had several people say, man, I can't listen to you going to work because I'll be mad at all white people. And there's a
Oh yeah,
reality in that. Right?
Yeah.
There's a
right
Yeah.
reality
now, like,
there.
it'll go off on
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about things with a very matter of fact nature,
Mm-hmm.
but we come from a factual and credible standpoint. So, like yesterday's episode that I dropped was about nutrition and the two armies in our body fighting to be the captain of our souls, so to speak, and how
Mm-hmm.
we fuel them, right? So, we
Mm-hmm.
talk about a number of things, but I definitely say we're the type of podcast where you really need to be able to hear us and focus, because this is about education first.
Let me ask you this. So you've had a lot of success with the Wild Black, because you used to post about, tell us about the peak of your Wild Pod, because you've had some great success in the
Yeah.
categories that you've had great success in. Tell us about that real quick before I ask the next question.
Yeah, success is so often measured by the guest, right? And we've been blessed to have some amazing guests. Stacy Abrams has been on.
That's just.
It's all good.
She at least
I
told me
had
go to
to
two shot. Go to two shot. I got something to do.
I had to laugh.
That's fam
Stacey
right
Abrams
there.
has
That's
been a
fam.
guest.
Sorry.
She's
Ben
coming.
Crump has been a guest.
Okay.
We've had a bunch of Martin Luther King III, but the truth behind that is, I don't consider the success behind the stature or the name of the guest, because
Mm-hmm.
we bring a whole lot of people on that you've never heard about before. And it's because my idea is that the answers to the questions that we really have in our head are often met by the person who's standing next to us in the soup aisle in Kroger, but we just don't know to ask them. So I bring in a bunch of dope people who have expertise and credibility in the space, and they want to share.
Yeah.
So you get a celebrity, you get an influencer, and then you get a doctor that you've never seen before, and
Right.
they all deliver. So
Yep.
the pinnacle and the success of what we've seen so far is episode to episode. It's the impact that episode creates. It's the email that I get back from someone who has been touched. It's the moment, because I jump on the phone, I jump on Zoom with listeners, call them family, and we talk through things. What do you like? What do you need? I bring half of them on, right? Because there's some dope people doing some dope things all around the world, and no one gives them a
Mm-hmm.
voice. No one amplifies them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's it for us, man.
So tell me why you do more podcasting than you do video, similar to what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are a couple of reasons. One, because the topics that we touch on sometimes make people uncomfortable from a guesting standpoint, because people are fully aware that they have to go back out into the world and operate tomorrow. And if they
Mm.
say the wrong thing, they're caught in the wrong light. Jobs are in jeopardy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that physically happen before. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, very careful with the video. We do a lot more now, but it's because our name has gotten bigger. I'm just, I get releases and I talk to people to make sure they understand you'll be on camera. If they don't want to be on camera, I turn it off. We are an audio podcast. Video is a bonus. And I never release entire episodes. I release a snip, 30 seconds, 60 seconds,
Oh,
90 seconds. That's all we do.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's because a lot of what we do is similar to what you're talking about. We've been doing, Key and
Yeah.
I, we joke, but Key and I have been doing this for the better part of 12 years. Off
Yeah.
and
12 years.
on.
I
Yeah,
mean, when I first moved here, you were doing it then.
I was doing it then. I was doing it when I was
Mhm.
in Bentonville.
See, I didn't know it then. I didn't know it then.
Right. When I was in
And it's
Bentonville, yeah,
funny because Blog Talk Radio, when we were on Blog Talk, it was, and back then this is a lot. Now it's nothing, but back then it was 1,500 downloads a week.
right.
a week back in the early whatever, like when people were just getting into this and everything. So it was a big deal.
Yeah, and we still. I'm looking at the numbers. The numbers are doing fine. But to your end, I think the video is enamoring. It gets you locked in. Video. But
And how many people would be able to see me do this as I slide out?
Right.
You have to see that slink out.
but to that end, what you said earlier, in that many people who reach out to us and who enjoy our content, it is content. It's not similar. You don't want to, when we get into this part of these type conversations, it ain't something you want to do while you're at work. It ain't something you're going to get caught up, because we're very intentional about bringing a high power guest. I just had P. Frank Williams, who produced Hip Hop Homicides. I just released that a couple of days ago. And it ain't gonna be.
I saw Dante was just on here too. I peeped that out too.
And we had a fitness expert on who blew my mind about everybody who's all about the Beyond Meats, and Beyond Meats are so healthy. She was like, they're not healthy. If you don't eat meat for religious reasons, it's fine, but they're not healthy at all, and you should stop eating them. I was like, well, I didn't know that. I feel stupid because I've been like, oh, no, I'm not going to eat that hamburger. Can I have the Impossible Burger? And she's like, it's just a bunch of sodium.
Yep. That's all it is. So we're going to throw a couple things up. So stuff that's on the headlines right now, and I know this is stuff you probably talk about. So you interviewed Stacy. She didn't win. But what is your feeling on whatever, Kia? What is
I hate Stacy Abrams. I'm sorry. I hate her. I'm keeping it a buck. He can roll his eyes until he goes blind.
Because she don't really hate her. That's social media garble. She don't really hate Stacy Abrams. You don't.
She just dislikes her a little bit. It's okay.
Sure. We'll just say I dislike her a little bit, and I wish she would stop running. She's the Charlie Crist of black women. Let it go. Let it go.
You just want her. She is not going anywhere. As we know in the state of Georgia, anybody trying to raise money in the state of Georgia, they're going to come see Stacy. You want to raise some money, spend some money in the state of Georgia in the Democratic Party, come see Stacy. But anyway, tell us about you had an opportunity to talk to Stacy Abrams. What was your take on that interview, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, but honestly, the first thing that I got from her is, it's going to sound funny to say, and it's actually, I don't even like that I'll say it, but it is honestly what I felt. She was blacker than I expected her to be. Right? Like that's just.
I've met her too, so that makes perfect sense. She actually is,
that's the truth.
Like, and I think Octavia from The Help kind of black, like that kind of black.
What does that mean? She ain't Octavia from The Help. She is
not at all.
No, I mean like she's frying chicken in Crisco, like Crisco butter. Like she's that black.
I expected her to be more politician than black woman, right? And I think that's honestly, it's much more of the perception that I have of politicians who don't always give you their real face, and if they do, we don't typically believe it, right? But when I had the chance to talk to her, I was like, oh, she's a sister. Like I knew it, but then I knew it. You know what I mean?
You like, say, you black. That's what you want to
it really was. Because when I met her recently, she was at they did a fundraiser at Mo Ivory's house. And Mo Ivory, that's the picture that's out there. What I took a picture with Common. Common was there. He came through.
We had Mo on the podcast like 2-3 years ago.
Okay, yeah, Mo's a dope chick. So what happened was we're in Mo's house, and we're in her kitchen. Literally, it's 60 people in her house, and I'm just maybe more. I'll give or take. And when it was time to take a picture with Common, Stacy was the one that says, okay, I know all y'all want to get a picture with Common. We're going to do this in groups. Okay, this group going to get in there and the rest of y'all move out the way. All right, y'all got y'all picture. Now the next group, no, don't try to slide in here twice. I saw you. This is Stacy. Right?
See, and honestly, that's black. That's auntie black.
Yeah. She's very anti-black. She's very anti-black. I think that the issue but at the same time, and this happened, I don't know, Darius, if you heard the interview, what happened with her and Rashad Ritchie like 3 days before.
I saw that. I was extremely disappointed in that.
What was your take on that? What was your take?
So easily. Couple things. One, some things should happen behind closed doors.
Absolutely.
That's my perspective. I feel like we have to protect the culture before anything, right? That was the first thing. Yeah. Secondly, that felt crazy personal to me. And I understand. I understand that is your show. And I'm not knocking Rashad at all. I think what he does is absolutely dope.
Yeah.
But I wish that conversation would have happened behind closed doors and not 2 or 3 days before the election. Like have that conversation 3 weeks
But here's the
before.
thing. Here's the thing with that though. She shouldn't have brought it up.
I absolutely agree.
She shouldn't have brought it up because it is personal, and she knows Rashad. And those of us in Atlanta know Rashad. We know that he's the dopest. We're talking about Dr. Rashad Ritchie. He's on Young Turks, and he's got a morning show in Atlanta, and
rolling out.
Rolling out. He's a growing media pundit in the country. He's been great in Atlanta for years. Now he's become really powerful. You can't do that to him because he was being for 10 minutes. It was a clean interview. It felt good, but he was waiting on that. And the moment for people wondering what we're talking about, it's out there. I'll try to find it and post it on our Life
I
Circle
actually
page.
haven't seen it. That's why I'm trying to figure out.
Well, it's not. Okay. Well, let me give you some context. So 3 days before the election, she was on the Rashad Ritchie show, and 10 minutes into the interview, the interview's going great, and Stacy says basically to Rashad that she basically, in paraphrasing, she didn't like the fact that he was going around saying that she wasn't reaching out and talking to black people.
Yep.
And at that point, it went pew. Well, I reached out to I reached out to your team 7 times. I got the text. I got the receipts to show that every time I tried to get you on my show, you wouldn't come. Blah 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 blah. And they started going back and forth. And they said it was Mo Ivory in the background. They said, "Let her talk," and she started screaming. And I said, "Oh, Jesus."
And again, as a black Republican, you may not know this, but everybody who listens to our show knows I'm the black Republican on the show. I feel like
I didn't peep the show out. I'm here. I peeped it out.
Okay. No, as a black Republican, I really feel like Stacey, and then why I don't like her is I feel like Stacey Abrams, though she black, she anti-black, her relatability to black people and black women and black men is 0 to none. And then her relatability to suburban black women, white women, she has nothing in common with either suburban black women or suburban white women. She has nothing in common with us. She has no idea how to relate to that group, and she needs that group. You better straighten your face up.
I'm not going to straighten my face up because you're wrong.
Yeah,
but the relatability of her, I understand the relatability that you have issues with. But I think the problem that Stacey,
because no one listens to me. Everybody's like, "No, she's great. She's this." No, she's
I'm
not.
I know the flaws that Stacey Abrams had. In my opinion, she spent too much time trying to bring in independence, too much time trying to bring in these white women in the suburbs. And they left her out to dry.
She has nothing in common with that. Don't get her, don't understand her, and she doesn't even try. She's not a Michelle Obama who can get those women. She's not.
Well, but in her mind, the black people.
I do agree with that part.
Right. And
she's not married. She doesn't have kids. She don't even have kids out of wedlock. At least she could have that. She has none of that. And this sounds awful, but y'all know what I mean. Like, she has no children. She has no husband. It's just her.
No, it's all that has been brought up.
Of a mom.
No, all of that has been brought up.
I look at that, and I think when it comes to black women, I think that there are so many other key points that Stacey and black women can understand. There's so many things that I think they collectively go through that can help to tie that bond. The problem is that wasn't the group of voters that she needed to make sure was at the polls for her because they were already coming. It's strong enough numbers.
Yeah.
And to your point, I do not think she had a firm enough relationship with white suburban women. And then we saw that reflected in the voting data.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're talking about 27%, I think was the total number of white women who voted for her. And then when the whole because we're getting ready to start a new segment on this show called something around what they are saying, because they say that it was black men's fault. And I said, you know what?
That is not true.
84% of black men voted for Stacey Abrams. How much more?
I don't believe it was black men either. But before we go, because we're running out of time, and we always like to end with some fun stuff, because that's what we do. We start with the salt and we end with the sweet. So I want your Dave Chappelle stand-up comedian opinion about Herschel Walker. All jokes. Let's go.
I think Herschel Walker would make an absolutely wonderful, wonderful senator for the state of Florida. I think that
she lives in Florida.
Did you
I
know I
think
live
that
here?
I didn't.
Oh,
I think that Herschel Walker should focus on his goals of being a vampire or a werewolf. That's where he should spend his time. I think Herschel Walker should focus every bit of his energy once he loses this race in content creation. I saw a video that he put up at some point where he was telling everyone this special thing that he did when music came on to get exercise,
That
and
was hilarious.
it was dancing. And then at the end he said, "And anybody can do it." I was like, "No, I can't curse. No stuff, Herschel. Any so that's my thing on Herschel. I think that I was talking to a friend today, and I told them that I'm not violent, but if Herschel Walker were in front of me, I would pick up the trash can and hit him in the back of the head. My friend said to me, all that's going to do is Herschel's going to turn around and say, "Ain't nothing in there anyway. You didn't hurt me." So,
okay.
Go
You're
ahead.
gonna go full Malice in the Palace on Herschel Walker. Just pick
Oh
up a
my
chair and just
God.
fling it at his face. Like, I'm done.
Oh.
And how you gonna put him on Florida? That's so mean. I live here.
And
I
nobody
already
tell you to
know
stay in
this
Florida.
is not-
That's on you living down there in Florida.
hey, man.
Blank my husband and these 3 children and this mortgage. Okay, that's who we are.
You know,
I agree with Charlemagne the God about the people in Florida.
Yo,
And there are a couple
everything
that I
crazy
love.
happens in Florida. Everything crazy happens in Florida.
yeah.
And it's
Sure.
always some crazy naked person riding on a four-wheeler down the street because he's too high on meth. I saw that the other day, coming to get my kids from my mother-in-law's house. It's crazy stuff happens in Florida.
Brother D, what if he wins, bro?
No.
I struggle with that
No,
for a couple
guys.
reasons.
Come
One, I do think he's a bit of an idiot, right? And I'm not a negative person. My honest opinion is Herschel Walker is not an intelligent person, especially in the arena that he's trying to get to. But what
No.
scares me is who is around and behind him that will be pulling those strings and filling his head with the things that he's then going to begin to try to influence.
It's called Mitch McConnell. It's Lindsey Graham.
You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna hire Candace Owens to be on his team.
Oh my God.
That's the only way that
I'm
he's going
surprised
to.
they have not paraded her out yet. Something is going on with
They
Candace.
won't. They will
Something
not.
is
They
going
will
on with
not.
Candace. Candace is trying to get in the cookout. She's working on trying to get her. She started with the little Kanye thing. Go ahead.
Here's the issue with Candace. Candace has a very specific issue. Candace is very conservative. She's very Republican, but they cannot control her the way they control a Herschel.
Right.
Not even close.
agree.
And they need
Right.
that control. And
Right.
she may be a lot of things that we don't like. She's
Yeah.
not going to give up that control. She's
Yeah.
done a lot to build her brand. She's not going to give it
Yep.
up. There's no way.
And every
yeah.
now and then she goes too far, she makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and they're not going to do what they did to Omarosa. Where they kind of just, and Omarosa made a big mistake out the gate, going full fledged and put all her chips on the Trump table. And now where is she? I don't know. She might have a cookie show coming out next week. Don't know. But
I saw her at the Publix.
She's the
She was
first lady
bagging
of a church.
groceries. I think it was aisle 6 or 7. She was up there. She was part-time cashier.
She's the first lady of a church, and that's really it. She actually has auditioned multiple times to be in the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and they've been like, absolutely not. Like, no.
Why not? I'm saying it ain't like it's whatever. We got we y'all okay on time? I know it's Friday night.
I'm cool.
I'm good.
This is, I think the Republican Party right now, this announcement that Trump made, and it was sad. When he made his announcement, it felt like, it felt, I didn't feel sad for him at all. But he didn't seem like he came out with confidence at all about running for president. Because now, they've already used you, Trump. We got the Supreme Court seats. We got the federal judges. We got everything we need from you. Now we're on to DeSantis. We don't need you. We might have, McDreamy, who Kia loves so much. The guy, what's his name? The little pretty boy from Wisconsin you love.
Paul Ryan.
Look at you.
She glowed. She started glowing. She levitated off his seat.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
It's about time for
I
Paul
love
Ryan to come
him.
back out. He might come back out of here. I don't know, man. Trump, I am more concerned about Donald Trump and violence than I am about him winning president.
And also
Yeah.
think of the pool we have right now running on the Republican side. According to the rumor mill, it is Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and fat penguin from Batman, Chris Christie. Like,
But don't forget, Mike Pence is doing a lot of interviews all of a sudden.
there's no way. There's no way.
He
You know
releasing a
why?
book.
No
He's
Mike
selling a
Pence.
book.
Is that what it is?
He's selling a book.
He is selling a book. He is selling a book. But no one will pick Mike Pence because he literally has shown he has no spine on either side.
None.
Yeah.
None.
There's no spine.
I'm not worrying about Mike Pence. Mike Pence might as well be Dan Quayle if it wasn't for January 6th. Nobody would even care. So, but he's got a book. He's got a book he's selling. So that's why he's out here. But let's when we talk about the Democrats, because of course now they want to talk about the whole thing is everybody says, well, Joe Biden obviously he can't run again. The hell you talking about? Like, because right now this country is not ready to vote in Kamala Harris. We know they're not ready for that. So
too much motions, hair conditioner.
No, it ain't even about it. It's almost the same issue that you talked about with Stacy Abrams, right? She's a little bit more acceptable to mainstream America than Stacy Abrams. And he's even talked about Stacy Abrams for president, which I'm like, oh no. Like
no.
Oh, yeah, they said, well, she's lost twice to governor in Georgia. Let's run her for president. No. Let her run.
I would never vote for Stacey
let her run the
Abrams.
DNC. Maybe let her go run some because she's got the puppet strings already in place anyway. Maybe she need to run the DNC. I want to see Gavin Newsom take a swing at it. I think Gavin Newsom.
I think Gavin Newsom would be good on the Democratic side. I think a Paul Ryan on the Republican side should step up. I feel like there are so many Republican men who were great and have gone. Michael Steele. I feel like a Michael Steele is a viable candidate, and he could run with Mia Love. Anybody remember Mia Love?
There ain't no way in the world two black folks running for president on the Republican ticket. Stop.
I'd vote for Mia X.
Stop at your fantasy land. Ain't no way in the world all them racist folks gonna sit up here and you can try. You look like old girl when she dropped her wig. Tell us, my God, when her wig.
Well, that was hilarious.
I'm just saying there are viable black and white candidates, but just to bring it back to what we're talking about, we did a little bit of politics, so I want to do what's on our list of fun stuff to talk about.
We can talk about
Twitter's imploding.
Twitter's imploding.
Twitter is imploding. It went from being a platform that was multifaceted. You got Black Twitter running things, doing all the funny stuff, to now it is a cesspool of people. Advertisers are leaving. If you were in Elon Musk's shoes, what would you be thinking right now? Or what would you be doing?
It's kind of hard to really say that, right? Because Elon Musk, beyond a shadow of a doubt, has a high level of intellect.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
High level of intellect.
Yeah.
His financial situation allows him space and grace that I can't even imagine in these moments.
Right.
So
this is true.
When I think about if I were in his shoes, I really struggle because my perspective is so very different. What I would be trying to do is make Twitter as profitable of an organization as possible. And it's obvious that is not what he's doing, at least not in the short term. Maybe he has some.
Why?
Because I don't think he cares.
He has demanded that people come back into the office.
And that's my point.
It's a toy to me. It's a toy to him. It does not feel like he's like, it's like he wants to blow it up just because he can. It's ridiculous. Like, legit.
1,000 people resigned yesterday. 1,000. That's a lot for a company to have 1,000 people resign. So
not only did they resign, but in the midst of a significant layoff session in the technology industry, right? That says something. Yeah. What concerns me more about what Elon Musk is doing is not its impact on Twitter, but its impact across the tech sector. Because the tech sector in the last 3 years was forced to make some concessions. They were forced to really bend into working from home. They were forced to do.
And to our viewers who don't know what we're talking about, how the tech sector, because we're all in that digital space, all four of us, three of us. I'm sorry, that's weird math. Companies companies like Redfin, OfferPad, a lot of these online companies have been forced to lay off swaths of people. 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people. Redfin is the real estate iBuying company. They have completely gone bankrupt, out of business. OfferPad, they're assuming, is next. Twitter is laying off all these people. Facebook laid off, 3,000 5,000 people, somewhere around there. So these
The number I saw was
companies,
10. I don't know if they let that go, but I saw 10,000. I don't know if that's what they actually let go.
what's happening?
Yeah. But so my thing is knowing that other leaders and other tech organizations have made concessions because they had to. I wonder who's going to follow suit and begin to constrict the freedoms that are enjoyed in the tech space, right? So I'm wondering who else is
Mm,
going to say, you know what? Yes, let's come back to the office. Who else is going to start really documenting the way things have been? Who else is going to reevaluate the unlimited vacation policy, right? And I know that these things are all from a place of privilege, but it's still the lifestyle that so many thousands and thousands of people have become accustomed to. That is my bigger
yes.
concern. And like Elon Musk, Twitter's a plaything to him, so I can't even
Yeah.
put myself in that mind frame.
But with Twitter, it's so interesting to me because before he bought it, they were doing, for those who come into the office, you get breakfast, you get lunch. We want you to work through it, so we're going to buy you food or buy you dinner. So they were profitable because they were working through the time. They were allowing people, you want to work from home? We don't care. You're doing
Mm-hmm.
Right.
work. They had trackers and this in place and everything in place. Why go in and change a mechanism that was obviously working well and Twitter was profitable? Elon came in and said, oh, it wasn't profitable. Well, when you lose, 85 advertisers of major dollars like Disney, yes, you stop being profitable when you lose
And
$2,000 a
they
week.
losing advertisers because of him. Him
Yep.
Yes.
personally.
So
It's you,
why
buddy. Fire
change it?
yourself. You're the problem.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What was his point of changing? Was it just to prove that he had a big penis and that he could run everything? Like, what was his point of changing it?
I can't even begin to fathom.
Okay.
From the moment he got in there with charging for the blue checks, and all of a sudden you saw accounts for Jesus Christ, LeBron James, you saw all
And that
these. I have
imploded
no
very quickly.
clue.
Yeah, the
They're
whole
saying
situation.
now that Eli Lilly
Who had
might
this?
too.
What is it? Eli Whitney or Eli somebody with
Eli
the
Lilly.
insulin
They lost
Eli
inside
they
Lilly.
lost
Lilly?
real money.
They lost a whole lot of money, and so now see, here's the thing: when you're doing it to the little people, the rich people don't care. But now you
Right.
messing up the rich people money, and
Mhm.
you talking about giving away insulin, and then all of a sudden you had this situation where like you said, the valuations of Eli. Is it Eli? Which one is it?
Eli Lilly.
Lilly. I don't know why I'm gonna call Eli Whitney. I don't know. It's
I don't
football
even know who
player.
that is. Is that
I
even a
don't either.
business?
But Eli Lilly losing a ton of money because a fake Twitter account put up that a whole bunch of people gonna get free insulin. We're in the space. We care about it. Like, I don't just quickly post something on Life Flow Circles pages or on my personal pages
No.
without checking the source, right? But they're now to the point that people who are impersonating, they'll change one little letter in the middle and make you look like, yo, that's the guy I'm always trusting. I'm in the middle of doing
Yep.
something or whatever. Oh, boom, yeah, that's credible information. Let me go ahead and put that out to the world. So
Yep.
But
watch
really
this.
quick, to both of
Uh-huh.
you guys, really fast,
Yeah.
has Twitter opened themselves up to lawsuits from these major companies who because Twitter has allowed this and they've had real losses?
I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, yes, right?
Okay.
But the real test is what happens on the back end. Of course, we're a litigious society, right? They're going to
Right.
be lawsuits behind this
Right.
because dollars are being impacted, brands are being impacted, right?
Yes.
People's lives are being impacted because as consumers of these social media platforms, we have to understand and behave in a certain manner. And a blue check might not mean anything to one person with the check, but to everyone else, it's a sign of credibility. It's a sign of
Mhm.
I can trust that you are who you say you are, and now I can
Yes.
act accordingly. But when you have an account that comes out that mirrors, and it's hard to identify the difference, also the power is magnified with this fake account as well. It's going to have an
Yes.
impact.
Yeah, but
Yes.
at the same time, I want let's think about that process. They're getting sued simply because someone with a fake account impersonated somebody else. And you're gonna take this to some 70-year-old judge who
Mhm.
probably don't even have a damn Twitter account. And
Yep.
no. And
Now, who
then
knows how it's going to come out, but they'll get sued.
they're gonna get
Yeah,
sued, but it doesn't mean that they're
that's
gonna win any
yeah.
cases. And that's
Right.
and so
Absolutely.
to somebody like Eli, to Musk, it's dangerous the type of wealth that's circulating out right now. It is people like Musk, people like the situation where everybody jumped on Kyrie Irving's back, but nobody said anything about Amazon still selling
Mm.
the stream and increasing the price by
Yo, really
5.
quick. Do people not know how Amazon works?
Please
This is
tell
what
me.
annoys me when people keep bringing that up.
Okay,
You guys do
tell
not
please.
know how Amazon works?
I think I do,
get
but
it.
maybe you must be bringing a different perspective.
It was automated. That demand shot that price up.
But not that. Amazon is almost like Facebook Marketplace. It is a self-serving platform. They do not look at every single person's they
Yep.
have that in their no. They have it
I'm
when you sign
listening.
up for the product. They don't moderate. You have a product. They put it out there. You do that yourself. So you are
let me say
liable. Amazon's not
The
liable.
risk is
hypothetically.
on
So
you.
let me ask this
The risk is
question:
on
if that is the case, why is there no pornography on Amazon?
There is pornography on Amazon. What you searching? I need to share you some stuff. There's pornography on Amazon. Just letting you know.
Okay.
You want to do a test?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Don't need.
He's just trying to redirect. He knows it's on there.
But no, I don't actually. But my point is they can control what's on that website.
What are we defining as porn, by the way?
Do we have to go to the internet streets and look up the word pornography?
There we go. Yeah,
Right.
there's porn on Amazon. There's porn here.
Amazon has the
There's
ability
porn.
to
There's
moderate.
sex toys on here.
But there are
Sex
places
toys
they
is not
enforce it and places
pornography.
they
Sex
don't.
toys is not pornography. I'm talking about straight up. Anyway, we're not gonna go down this rabbit hole. My point is Amazon if Amazon finds something that they don't want to show up, God, Jesus. Reel it in. Amazon can control that content. I'm about to cut your mic. Amazon can control that content that they have on their
and
site.
ice cream, porn star zombies.
What is porn
Slut
star?
mateer? I don't even know what that is.
You messing your algorithms all up. You was looking for diapers last night. Now everything gonna pop up on your Amazon to buy some daggone porn. Anyway,
Live nude girls unite to kill zombies.
So my point is they can control what's on their
there.
platform, and that makes it even worse. I'm going there. If they got pornography on Amazon, and I've been on Amazon forever, and it's there, then that's even worse because my kids be on Amazon, and I don't want them to flip up one little word. But my point is that the wealth that Bezos and Elon Musk and these extremely wealthy people, it's almost like our politicians are being so exposed.
There's a book called
You Are a Toddler.
She is in there.
Wait, no, it says "Quit Porn and Get Rich." That's the book title.
It's called "Quit Porn and Get Rich." Oh Jesus! This
Now,
is our toddler.
I wonder, is it quit consuming? Is it quit acting? Like what? Let's go deeper.
Hold on, let me
No pun intended.
Oh my
Let's
God!
see what it says. Quit porn and get okay. Quit porn and get rich. The
What happened to my
unspoken
show tonight? Go ahead, kid.
Quit porn and get rich. The unsuccessful rule of successful people.
So I'm just gonna cut
Is
this
this
little
like
clip
quit
up real quick.
OnlyFans and start an MLM?
Jesus
Is that
Christ.
what this means?
So they gonna go from being on porn and OnlyFans to being selling five links or something. All right, so I forgot my point. It was going somewhere. I lost it a long time ago. But this nonsense. Our politicians aren't nearly as powerful as you think they are. They just aren't. They are being controlled by people like Musk who sitting back laughing at us all. Man, I'm just like, all y'all out here driving Teslas, chasing after these daggum Teslas, man, sell that stuff. I'm gonna keep stock though.
You can't do that though because they are making rules in every single state that you have to go to an electric vehicle by 2034.
Oh, well, everybody making electric vehicles. They ain't got to get no dog in this. A black owned. I'm going to do an interview with him next week. Black owned electric car company right here in Atlanta, and he's going to be retrofitting your existing vehicles. Did you know about that one, Darius?
I want to. I texted you when I saw that because I was looking around.
Amazing.
I want to go peep the showroom. It was Derek Automotive.
Yeah, Derek Automotive is right there in Atlantic Station. He's got like a 1970 or 80 Mercedes in the showroom right now that has been retrofitted and is now an electric vehicle. We're not going to need Elon Musk.
That's fantastic. As a mom who needs the 7-fitter because of the twins and the son, and the dog, and the husband, if you could switch that to electric, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. They are in the process right now. And I'm asking, me, I'm asking all the questions. What about the weight of the vehicle? What about if, you got the battery in the front? And what about, what are you going to do? It's like they got all that stuff figured out. Black owned right here in Atlanta, Derek Automotive. And we'll be doing some content around them in the next 3 weeks.
Nice.
Love it.
So man, we
So
got to
when is
get
the
together,
next
Darius. We
Wild
got to work
Black
together, bro.
podcast?
Huh?
Let's do it.
So when is the next Wild Black podcast? So we can make sure that our listeners can tune in.
Absolutely. So we release roughly every Thursday. We are getting ready to go on break. Our last episode of this year will happen on Thanksgiving. We'll be
Okay.
back in January. But the beautiful thing about Wild Black is that I focus on evergreen content. There are very few
Very
Ugh,
smart.
top.
love
Right.
it.
You can go in there and you can open up something from 4 years ago and it will still make sense to you today.
Love it.
A couple things I want to add is Wild Black is happening. It's on Revolt now. I've also created another show for Revolt called Monuments to Me. Monuments to
Mhm.
Me, I call it the sister to Wild Black. Monuments to Me is a space hosted by two Black women. We
Mhm.
feature only Black women as guests, and they talk about only issues and things, concerns, needs, wants, desires, likes, loves of Black women. It is what's called a protected space for Black
Mhm.
women specifically to build and to grow. It is literally a monument to Black women. That is what I was thinking when I wrote the concept, when I created the
That's
show.
awesome.
And in addition to that, I created it, but I stepped fully back. There's a team
Mhm.
of Black women who
Awesome.
produce it. There's Black women
Mhm.
that host it. I jump in if they need me to pick up a ball and run someplace and knock on the door. I do that. But they decide the topics, the guests, the flow, the format. It is their thing.
If you ever want to talk about Black fertility, I'm your girl. Let your team know. That is my favorite topic, Black women and reaching out about fertility issues, because we don't get that advice from our mothers because they don't know. Black
Yeah,
fertility.
I remember when you talked about that, kid, because you
Yeah,
had some challenges on the fertility side before you had the babies.
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
And we
gonna
had
tell
no
you,
idea.
we
We had
did
no
an
idea about the avenues, and a
episode.
lot I think I feel like a lot of Black women don't know the avenues to fertility and the options that are out there. And it's not just, oh, you're just infertile, or oh, you're just gonna struggle. It's a huge bubble that we're not open to because our mothers don't know because they
Yeah.
didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's funny that you say that. We've done actually two episodes, one on
Oh, I
infertility
love it.
with
I
Dr.
love it.
Yindi Hawkins, and then we did another episode on fibroids. And you
Yeah,
talk about from a Black man standpoint, when I listened to that, I became educated on a complete. I didn't know 80% of
absolutely.
Black women dealt with fibroids. I had no idea. Great
Fibroids and
information.
polycystic ovarian syndrome is big in our community.
Yep,
Yep.
they
Mm.
talked about that on there as well. I'm trying to see who are
Yep.
those guests.
Well, man, I really do appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us even a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So to make sure you invite us so we can ruin your show soon
Come
as soon as
on.
possible.
Y-
So
y'all,
we,
y'all
Keep
are
so,
laughing,
we,
but
so we can talk
I'm dead
porn.
serious.
So we can talk porn and everything else on your Wild Black show. You're not just gonna come up here on Life of a Circle and take my stuff off the rails, and I'm not coming over that joint wrecking shop.
Hey, come on in. I'll set up all the glass furniture, tear it up.
Well, we go, and I know next time we're gonna do it, man. We're gonna do it in person.
I'm down.
Yeah, man. We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. That's my man Darius, Wild Black Podcast. That's the super producer over there, the super Republican troll of the show, and I am your host, Miguel Lloyd. Peace and a bye bye.
Peace.
Bye.